Yo, what's good, YouTube, man? It's Gary with Just Another Fan TV. Back at another video. Like the content, video, go smash that like button, like the content, this channel. Go subscribe, man. Look, so Ravens to Texas game preview. The Ravens are going to play on Christmas Day, along with the Chiefs versus Steelers game and things like that, right? Quick turnaround for the Ravens. When we get to the injury report, it's just an estimation of who's going to play, right? You don't have the full thing out just yet, but yeah, let's get right into it, right? But first, I want to say is that for the NFL, forcing the game on Christmas is kind of greedy. All right, not kind of, very. All right, so the NFL, you could have had Thanksgiving, left it as that. Now you're trying to get Christmas as well. Leave Christmas for the NBA. All right, you're supposed to be preaching about player safety. This ain't it. All right, so now you got these four teams playing 3 games in 10 days, which is going to water down the product because the best players aren't going to be able to play in some instances, right? All right, so um, when you talk about player safety, when you talk about wanting to be the best for the players, knowing that the players make the league, this is not how you do it in protecting the players. Playing 3 games in 10 days. All right, that's just my opinion on it. All right, but on to the injury report, right? So for the Ravens, Nelson Aguilar still DNP with a concussion. I doubt that he plays on a short week. Now, a couple of ones that are interested, right? Daniel Falele, knee, Zay Flowers, shoulder, both DNPs. So they could be out, right? Zay Flowers is a player that you want to see play on Christmas, right? But 3 games in 10 days, he's banged up. He could be out. Davis White, shoulder, DNP. Now, for the Texans side of the ball, right? Um, they got a couple offensive linemen on here: Shaq Mason, Drew Struggs, both DNPs. Everybody else is pretty much limited or full participant, right? So, but also, the Texans lost Jimmy Ward, one of their starting safeties last week for the season, and then they also lost Tank Dell to a very, very bad knee injury in the back of the end zone last week versus the Chiefs as well. Not even last week, 3 days ago versus the Chiefs. All right, so they'll be out they'll be out of those couple key players as well. All right. Now, talking about the Texans defense, right? The Texans defense is probably the better of the two units for sure, right? When you look at the defensive line, Will Anderson, um, Daniil Hunter, guys like that, they are one of the best pass rush units in the NFL, right? They're averaging 3.1 sacks a game. They're just third in the NFL right now. So for the Ravens, that's going to be a challenge, right? Especially if you're going to be down with offensive linemen like Daniel Falele can't go. I know we have our issues with Falele, right? So we even want to see Ben Cleveland play. But if you're going to be down starting offensive lineman, that could change chemistry and things like that. This Texas defense is going to take advantage of that. Okay, so got to watch out for that. All right. Even on the second and third levels, right? They got good players. Like I said, they lost Jimmy Ward, but Derek Stingley is a great corner. Um, Kamari Lassiter, their rookie, has played really well this year, right? So they've gotten sideline linebacker play. I believe they're playing toe and still is it Christian Harris? I'm not sure, but they got inside linebacker play as well, right? So they're a good defense, right? And D'Amico Ryans is a defensive head coach, right? Game for the 49ers, kind of like Robert Saleh, things like that, had good defenses. That's not going to change, right? So that's going to be the challenge for the Ravens, right? Um, we'll talk about the keys to the game, stuff like that, but the main thing is that this Texans defense is the better unit on the team. And, the Ravens are going to have to go head up with it, right? The Ravens are a great offense, and they're going to be challenged by this Texas defense, right? All right. So for the Texans, right, everything is pretty much top 10, right? You look at 200 yards a game passing, 106 yards a game on the ground for 11th, right? Everything's pretty much top 10. Only 35% third down percentage, right? For 7th in the NFL, right? 4th in total yards allowed a game. So this is, like I said, it's going to be a challenge. All right. Now, for the other side of the ball, Texas offense. CJ Stroud has struggled this year, right? To say the least, right? Last year he was a dynamic rookie, really popped onto the scene. There was some talk of CJ Stroud being in the MVP conversation, right? How well he was playing last year, right? This year hasn't gone like that, all right. And I won't really want to say it's all his fault, right? He's playing behind one of the worst offensive lines in the NFL. All right, you can see that 3.2 sacks allowed a game, 27th in the NFL. Um, they're just not good. They can't throw screens. They don't operate very well. And Bobby Slower, who was a hot coaching candidate last year after only 1 year as an OC, his office is taking a step back. Right, they look like they're kind of out of ideas a little bit. Right, so they've struggled, right? When you look at yards per game, 20th. Pretty much below the pack or worse than any and everything. 38% on third down for 16th. All right. Um, when they run the ball, they've been decent. Joe Mixon has kind of had a resurgence over here in Houston. He's had a really good season, honestly, right? When he hasn't played, they've struggled to run the ball, right? So it's kind of been on him that really elevating the run game, right? Over 100 yards a game for 18th, but only average 26 attempts a game for 21st. But they're passing the ball at a top 10 rate in terms of attempts, right? 34 attempts a game, but only 18th in yards, right? Now some of that has to do with injuries, right? We talked about Tank Dell, but before that, they lost Stephon Diggs to the ACL. They lost Nico Collins for a large majority of this year to the hamstring injury, right? So when you combine bad offensive line play, um, injuries to the skills positions for multiple weeks at a time, they lost Joe Mixon for multiple weeks at a time this year as well. So it's been everything around CJ Stroud this year has kind of been unsettled, right? Which has led to this down season for him, right? But it could be a sophomore slump. He'll probably bounce back. But the Ravens can't take this team lightly. And then also, got just the elephant in the room. The Texans just picked up Deontay Johnson off waivers, right? Now, do I think he'll play 2 days later? I don't, right? But it's something that has to be brought up, right? Because he's probably already at the Texas building, whatever. And when it comes to, I don't really know about the whole sharing secrets insider trading thing. I don't really care about all of that, honestly. But it's a factor that you have to talk about, right? Whether he'll play or not, Deontay Johnson might have an impact on this game, right? We'll see. But it is what it is when it comes to that. So the Texans need a wide receiver help. They went and claimed him off of waivers, and he'll play there for the rest of this year, right? So we'll see what happens with that. All right. Now that's about the offensive defense for the Texans. Let's talk about the key to the game, right? And honestly, the key to the game for this one, is for the first time probably I've ever done this is the same on both sides of the ball. It's a battle in the trenches, all right. For the Ravens offense, right? We talked about it. Okay, you might have an offensive lineman injured. Also, the Texans defensive line is the best part of their defense, right? Will Anderson, Daniil Hunter, they get after you, all right, consistently, relentlessly. That's what they do. So with those kind of guys, you got to watch out for them. All right. So can the Ravens win the battle in the trenches, right? It's kind of generic and stuff like that. But sometimes when it comes to these certain games, especially games on a short week, it's not going to be a complex region while one team wins, one team loses, right? Will the Ravens offensive line be able to come off of a good second half versus Steelers, right? And transfer that over into this game, okay? And play that for the entire game. The second half versus the Steelers, the offensive line blocked really well. Very limited pressure got to Lamar Jackson, all right, in the second half. Can they do that for the entire game in this one versus this Texas defensive line? If they can do that, Ravens should win this game. They are the better team, right? But that's what it's going to come down to, right? If you block, you give Lamar protection, he's going to make the right decisions. That's just how it's been this year and really his entire career. If you give him protection in front of him, he's going to make the right decisions, all right? We're talking about a guy that has 37 passing touchdowns, 4 interceptions. All right. And you could argue that all four, none of them were his fault. All right. We've already been through that. We're not going to go through that again. Okay. So Lamar this year hasn't really put the ball into harm's way. And, the passer rating shows that. 120 pass rate in the game. He's going for NFL history. All right. He's already, I think that's like top 5 for an entire season in NFL history, right? 120, right? So this is a guy that's putting the ball in the right places at the right times, right? And for the other side of the ball, the defense, right? Kyle Van Noy, Odafe Owe, Justin Matabike, David Ojabo had a solid game versus the Steelers, right? Tavis Robinson, whoever you want to name, Travis Jones, Michael Pierce. This Texas offensive line is bad. Okay? There's not like, oh, they're okay. No, they're bad. It's a bad offensive line. It's on the Ravens defensive line to dominate this game in the trenches. Simple as that. All right, when it comes to stopping the run and when it's time for them to drop back and pass the ball, get after CJ Stroud. CJ Stroud is not he's not immobile. You know what I mean? He can get around a little bit, but He's not going to make multiple defenders miss in the backfield, things like that. He's going to scramble. He's probably going to be out to his right, looking to throw the ball across the field, right? I saw him do that a couple of times as I watched him play. All right. So watch out for that. But besides that, he's going to be in the pocket. All right. With the bad offensive line. Take advantage of it. As simple as that. If the Ravens win this game in the trenches on both sides, if they win that battle, they win the game. All right, simple as that, right? So when I look at the game, when I look how these two teams stack up, that's what I see, honestly, right? That's really what I see. Okay, the Ravens have a defensive line that has been consistent. I won't say they've been dominant. Calvin Noy has 10 plus sacks this year. I think he has 10 and a half to be exact. We're gonna need you again, right? Can you go over Calvin Noy? Okay, you got your 10 and a half, you got your double-digit sack club. Can you get to 12? Can you get to 13 by the time the season is up, right? If you can do that, then keep going, right? I mean, he's already earned his bonuses and things like that for sacks and whatnot. Keep it going. All right. So then the last thing, X factors for the game, war of attrition, man. That's it. Both teams are going to come in banged up. Both teams are going to come in physically tired. Like I said, third game in 10 days, thanks to the NFL schedule. All right. Who's going to be the more prepared team, right? Who's going to be the team that can fight off the fatigue, the tired, the injured? Who can shrug that off and win the game? Right. That's what it's going to come down to, honestly, right? Sometimes these games are about schemes and who you draw up through this play, get open like that. Sometimes it's just about who's the better team, more physical, who wants it more, right? I think this is what this game is about. Who's going to be more physical, who wants it more? Because both of these teams are going to be fatigued and tired, right? But who could push through that and get the W? That's what it's going to be about, all right? So when I look at this game, I look at the Ravens finishing off this stretch, right, of tough games. The Ravens have the division right in front of them, okay? The Ravens finish out this season 12-5. The Steelers have a large possibility of dropping one of these last two games. All right, they play tough opponents. Okay, they play the Chiefs. They play, I think the Bengals the last game of the year. Right, they have a chance to drop one, if not both of those games. The Ravens win out, they win the division. All right, so it's right in front of them, and it starts right now with playing the Texans. All right, so that's my thoughts on the game. Obviously, give me your guys' thoughts in the comments, but reply in the comments. But it's Gabriel, this is Fan TV. I'm out.